Theresa May headed into the Grenfell Tower memorial service through the back door today after her response to the aftermath of the tragedy was criticised. The Prime Minister attended St Paul's Cathedral alongside Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, members of the royal family and survivors of the disaster. But while many of the guests went up the front steps of the cathedral to attend the service, the PM was spotted getting out of her car and heading the back way. Once inside, the PM sat next to her Communities Secretary Sajid Javid and near the families who lost loved ones in the inferno. It comes after Boris Johnson angrily slammed the decision to ban Tory councillors at Kensington and Chelsea from the service. Scroll down for video. Theresa May was spotted getting out of her car and heading into the memorial at St Paul's Cathedral through the back door. It comes after her response to the tragedy was met with fierce criticism from locals in North Kensington. Once inside, Theresa May sat on the politicians' front row near the families of those who lost loved ones in the inferno. Prince Harry met with survivors and those who lost family in the tragedy, Britain's worst fire since the Blitz. The Foreign Secretary also accused Labour London Mayor Sadiq Khan's response to the Grenfell Tower tragedy spineless. He said the Labour Mayor should share some of the blame over why many victims have still not been rehoused. The memorial marks 6 months since the inferno swept through the West London Tower block, killing 71 people, including a stillborn baby. The fire was the worst in London since the Blitz and the worst tower block fire in the Western world for 35 years. The PM faced heavy criticism in the immediate aftermath of the tragedy for being slow to visit Grenfell and then for not meeting locals and only speaking to emergency service officers instead. And when she did finally visit a church in North Kensington which had become the central hub for the relief effort, she was heckled by angry crowds who surrounded her car when it was driven away. The Duchess of Cambridge spent time speaking to the families who attended the memorial service. Entire families were killed when the fire swept through the tower block in the summer. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and Prince Harry were visibly moved as they listened to the service. Boris Johnson, pictured left, launched a furious attack on the London Mayor Sadiq Khan, pictured right, who he said should share some of the blame over why many victims have still not been rehoused. Boris Johnson, pictured today with Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson, far right, and Japanese Defence Minister Tsuyoshi Udara, second right, and Japanese Foreign Minister Taro Kono at the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich, slammed the decision to back Tory councillors from today's service at St Paul's Cathedral. The image of Mrs May comes after her Foreign Secretary attacked moves to blame Tory politicians for all the failures surrounding the disaster. Mr Johnson, who was Mayor of London before Mr Khan, accused his successor of failing to step up and play his part in rehousing those left homeless by it. He said, "The most extraordinary lacuna in the whole conversation about Grenfell is the Mayor of London, as macabre like a performance by anybody I have ever seen.